First Samuel 17, where young David is going to find himself in the middle of the most well-known and epic showdown in all of history with the infamous, massive giant named Goliath. But Big G wasn't the biggest giant that David was going to face that day. Not even close. Because see, sometimes your giant is not your giant. Sometimes what you're facing is actually bigger than what you're facing. See, sometimes your greatest battle in life is to be courageous, confident, and obedient to God in the face of life's even bigger giants. Courageous in the face of fear, confident amidst the doubts, obedient to God when it's go time. So as we open our Bibles and enter into the ring, right? And of 1 Samuel 17, let's meet David's real giants, and let's kind of meet our own as well. Let's watch David's moves in the ring and consider our moves in life as well. See, sometimes fear is your giant. And what you got to do is you got to take courage in God, because in Him you are brave. Fear, it's that unpleasant, often strong, even crippling emotion caused by the awareness of a real and present danger, or a perceived danger, or the anticipation of a danger that is coming. See, sometimes fear is your giant. And fear won't just, freeze a person, in their tracks. It'll kind of paralyze a whole group of people. Israel's enemies were the big, bad, and mean Philistines, a brute nation of pirates who instilled fear all along the Mediterranean coast, west of Israel. They're always trying to move east, though, into the promised land, trying to take down Israel. And here they go again. Says there, let's go through these first 11 verses. Now the Philistines, they gathered their forces for war. They assembled at Soko in Judah. They pitched camp at Ephes Dammim. Oh wait, Pastor's going to get in trouble for just reading the Bible there. But between Soko and Azekah, Saul and the Israelites assembled and camped in the valley of Elah and drew up their battle line to meet the Philistines. And the Philistines occupied one hill, and the Israelites another, with the valley of Elah between them. And then a champion named Goliath, who was from Gath, he came out of the Philistine camp, and his height was over 9 feet tall, and he had a bronze helmet on his head, and wore a coat of scale armor of bronze weighing 5,000 shekels, like 125 pounds. On his legs, and he wore bronze greaves, and a bronze javelin was slung on his back, and his spear shaft was like a weaver's rod, big old huge thing, and its iron point weighed 600 shekels, like 15-pound spearhead is what he's got going on there. And his shield bearer went ahead of him, and Goliath stood, and he shouted to the ranks of Israel, "Why do you come out and line up for battle? Am I not a Philistine, and are you not the servants of Saul? I tell you what, here's what you're going to do. Choose a man and have him come down to me. If he's able to fight and kill me, we will become your subjects gladly. But if I overcome him and kill him, you will become our subjects, and you will serve us." And then the Philistines said, "This day I defy the armies of Israel. Give me a man and let us fight each other." And on hearing this, the Philistines' words, Saul and all the mighty Israelite warriors were dismayed, and they were terrified. See, most of us haven't faced a 9-foot-tall giant kind of spitting their threats our way, but we have all felt that same crippling feeling of dismay and terror when the towering bully of fear stares us down and tries to put us in our place. And as illogical and impossible as it sounds, what you've got to do in the face of fear is to take courage in God. Courage, it's the mental or moral strength that's inside of you that compels you to kind of venture into, persevere through, withstand dangers, fears, difficulties, real and perceived, anticipated. And so the Philistine intimidators, they knew how to create fear. Israel's big warriors, they're showing us how to cower in fear. But it's going to be a young shepherd boy who's going to model courage in the face of fear. It says there, now David was the son of Jesse, who was from Bethlehem in Judah. Jesse had 8 sons, and Jesse's 3 oldest sons had followed Saul into the war. The firstborn was Eliab, the second Abinadab, and the third Shammah. And David was the youngest, and the 3 oldest, they followed Saul, and they were with him full time. But David went back and forth from his gig, between his gig, his music gig with Saul and tending his father's sheep in Bethlehem. For 40 days, the Philistine came forward every morning and evening and took this same stand, this same offer, this same challenge. Now, Jesse, at the same time, he said to his son David, hey, take this 36 pounds of food for your brothers, hurry off to their camp, take along 10 cheeses to the commander of their unit, see how your brothers are doing, and bring back some assurance for Dad, some token, some souvenir from them. They're with Saul and all the men of Israel in the valley of Elah, fighting against the Philistines. Well, early in the morning, David left the flock in the care of a shepherd, loaded up and set out as Jesse had directed him. He reached the camp just as the army was going out to its battle positions, and they're shouting their big war cries, right? And Israel and the Philistines were drawing up their lines, facing each other. And David left his things real quick with the keeper of supplies, and he ran to the battle lines. And he asked his brothers how they were. How you doing, guys? And as he's talking with them, Goliath, that Philistine champion from Gath, he stepped out from his lines, and he shouted his usual defiance. But this is the first time that David's heard it. Whenever the Israelites even saw the man come out and do that, they all fled from him in great fear. You can imagine, like, David's like, what? Where'd everybody go? Right? They've taken off. Now, the Israelites had been saying this whole time, you see this man who keeps coming out? He comes out to defy Israel. And we've heard the king will give great wealth to the man who kills him. He will also give his daughter in marriage and will exempt his family from taxes in Israel. I mean, just a really great reward here going on. And David comes back. He finds the guys who have already run off, and he asks the men standing near him, hey, what will be done for the man who kills this Philistine and removes this disgrace from Israel? And then he just goes off. He goes, who is this uncircumcised Philistine anyway, that he should defy the mighty armies of God, the living God? David's got a little lip, all right? David's got a little attitude, but he's actually, what he's got is he's got a little courage. And where does David get his courage from? You kind of see it there in what he says. David takes courage from God. David takes courage in God, which is exactly where we should get our courage from. From God, by being in God, experiencing God, trusting in Jesus, baptized in Christ, walking in Him, because in Him you are brave. I love it. They repeated for him what they had been saying and told him, this is what will be done for the man who kills him. And when Eliab, David's oldest brother, heard him speaking with the men, about these things and have a little bit of attitude, he burned with anger at him and said, little brother, why have you come down here? With whom did you leave those few sheep in the wilderness that you were responsible for? I know how conceited you are. I know how wicked your heart is. You came down only to watch the battle. I love David's response. He's like, what? Now what have I gone and done by talking? Can I even speak? Have I lost my First Amendment right here? And David probably, when he asked that question, can I even speak? He probably gives brother the look, like that was a rhetorical question, bro. Because then it says he turned away from his brother and started turning to someone else and brought up the same matter that he had been talking about. Like, bro, talk to the hand. I will say what I wish. Dude, David sure could talk the courageous talk. Now, sure, he will have to follow through on it soon enough. He'll have to walk that talk. But when fear comes, you got to already have courage before you can act courageously. See, everybody who surrounded David was bigger, stronger, older, wiser than him, and yet he's the one speaking with more courage, more conviction inside his little frame than any of the big warriors there. And when David's own big brother tries to discourage David's courage, he just keeps grounded in God. He's probably thinking, sure, Eliab said my heart is wicked. But I remember God said my heart is good because it's running after his heart. So I'll tell you what, who am I going to believe? I'm going to believe God on what the state of my heart is. See, David gets his courage not just from within himself or from others. He takes it from God, and God has plenty of it to give. He takes courage in God and in God's power. That's what makes him brave inside his mind, his heart, his words. So while the Philistines are busy defying God's power, and the scaredy-cat army of Israel is denying God's power, David shows us that what we really need to be doing is relying on God's power. You see, sometimes your real giant is fear. Come to stop you in your tracks, but when it does, you've just got to take courage from God and in God's power. Because in him, you can be brave even in the face of certain danger.